What is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and today we are back in Forza Horizon 2 doing a rear-wheel drive swap drift build of the 2013 Audi RS4 Avant. Now, drift builds of Audis have always been kind of an odd thing because you're taking an all-wheel drive platform and you're swapping it to rear-wheel drive, and a lot of the time those dynamics don't really line up the way you want them to, per se, unless you do a lot of really in-depth tuning, which we may have to do, but then again, we may not. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn up the power a little bit, and we're going to obviously do a rear-wheel drive swap. We're going to lower it down. We're going to give it probably give it a little bit of an interesting design. We might go and get a design from the from like the community designs area, but mainly what we're focusing on is the actual build and the tune of the car. Now we're going to leave it in red because I think this car looks really nice in red. Actually, I really like the way these look, especially the wagons. Almost any kind of high performance Audi wagon, almost any high performance German wagon looks good in my opinion. Like a lot of the I mean, I know they call them estates over in the UK and Europe, but to me, I mean, in the US, we call them wagons, but a lot of the Mercedes wagons, the rare BMW M wagons, and then the Audi wagons, the high-performance Audi RS wagons are really cool cars. So we're going to go ahead, like I said, and handle the suspension first. And, well, you know what? No, we're not going to handle the suspension first because we're going to do the most important part before we get into anything else, is swap it to rear-wheel drive. Now we're coming in with 444 horsepower stock, and in stock form, I'm thinking, I mean, we could leave the engine alone, or we could add some forced induction to it. I'm going to leave it alone for now. We may come back to forced induction later, but, I mean, I'm definitely not ruling it out, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. Now, wow, we have a lot of body kit options for this car. So we've got an ABT front bumper, an Audi front bumper, another Audi front bumper, and a, is that like an odd spelling of character? Supposed to be like some kind of like interesting way to spell it? I don't know. Let's see. Oh wow, like all different varieties of little lip spoilers. Honestly, that one's kind of cool, the ABT one. For the rear bumper, I actually like the ABT rear bumper a lot. I don't like their front bumper, but I love their rear bumper. Wow, that looks good. And then, actually, the side skirts, it's really not too much of a difference, honestly. I mean, there's a little tiny bit, but I'm going to go with the ABT side skirts just because they look a little bit more interesting, but it's no deal breaker by any means if we were to have them or not. Now, for the suspension, we are going to lower it down on race suspension, which is almost 1 inch down, and it's not that low, but it definitely gets rid of the wheel gap and gives it a really nice, clean look. I'm going to actually add some anti-sway bars, just because, or, well, actually, not add, because it already had them, but upgrade the anti-sway bars, just because I feel like we might want to with a car like this. We're going to leave the weight alone, and I know some of you guys are like, why don't you ever use the weight reduction? Then, you know, it's better, it makes the car better. Well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I actually kind of like to drift with the stock weight. I mean, and I guess if you were making, like, some kind of a pro drift car, yeah, sure, you would strip all the weight out, but a lot of my drift cars, I like to do them in sort of like a similar way to how you'd build a street car, but with a few, like, I guess, race car additions, rather than just going full-out race car with everything, because then, I mean, if you did that, your builds would get old, at least in my opinion. And I mean, when you kind of vary your builds, it allows you to have a varying type of varying garage. You know what I mean? You can vary the type of cars in your garage, and nothing's ever going to be exactly the same, because if you have a dedicated race setup on, or like a race spec setup on everything, then it's going to kind of get more boring, in my opinion, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's important to kind of, I wouldn't say dial it back, but sort of take your builds in slightly different directions sometimes. So, with that in mind, the power curve here is so linear that I'm slightly hesitant to mess with it. I mean, we're gonna add a little bit of top end, but I mean, now we're running 551 horsepower and 358 pound-feet of torque, and that's a good number. I mean, it really is a good number. We're gonna add a lightweight flywheel just so we can rev a little bit quicker. Oil and cooling, which, hello, there we go. And then from there, let's see. We've done our exhaust. Let's do Yeah, let's go ahead and do fuel system. We're almost up to 600 horsepower, and we're almost up to 400 torques. So we're going to be dealing with a lot of high-end, high RPM power. And what I'm actually going to do is add a, let's see, add a centrifugal supercharger to it. Now, the reason I went with a centrifugal supercharger instead of a turbo, because I know I turbo a lot of my drift cars, but I feel like since this car has so much top end specifically already, that I feel like, let's look at the power curve difference. It's actually, you know what, it's not too much, but there is, you can definitely see the difference in the power curve itself. I'm going to try the centrifugal supercharger just in base form. I'm not going to go all crazy with it. I'm just going to try it in base form and see how it does. And let's see, before we do anything else, let's give ourselves, let's take away a little bit of the negative camber in the rear and add a little bit of negative camber in the front. And let's see, bring it all the way down. Braking, we'll do that later. Obviously, diff up to XL and decel up to 100%. And we'll go with a little bit of a baseline setup and see how that works. Now, I actually completely forgot all about wheels and tires. And, oh yeah, we're definitely leaving the stock compound. In the front, we're running 265s, and in the rear, guess what? We're running 265s. I could have guessed that. So, we're going to swap out for a set of HREs. I'm not sure which set of HREs we're going to go with, but wow, those actually look kind of cool. I didn't think they would work with this car, but they kind of fit it. They actually do kind of fit this car. Those look good, though. Those look really good. I like that 5-spoke design. I mean, it's kind of like almost like a... It gives the car a real muscular look, but at the same time, it's not, like, overdone or anything like that. So, we're going to go ahead and... What are we doing? Okay, never mind. There we go. Designs and paints. We're going to change up the paint a little bit, and instead of going and getting a design, I'm going to go ahead and just do a small paint job on it myself, just because of the fact that I hate losing the ability to change my own wheel color when I get somebody else's design. So, wow, the white looks really cool. The white looks really cool, especially on the red. And let's see. I'm thinking about going with the carbon fiber mirrors, just because I feel like it suits it. Although, let me just see. I'm gonna stick with the carbon fiber, I think. For the wing, oh, what? It does have a wing, and they're just not gonna let me paint it. Whatever. Now, how would a carbon hood look? I'm always kind of trying to mess with the idea. How would a carbon... It actually doesn't look too bad. Actually kind of complements it. Goes with that front lip pretty well. It really does, but you know what? That is a really interesting contrast. I'm actually... Wow, that's pretty cool. And you know what? That gives me an idea. That gives me an idea. Whole car. Whole car. We're going to have to alter the actual color combo a little bit, but even so, it's still a really cool combination. Wow. Ooh. I mean, I feel like you mess with these color combinations enough, and you'll find so many different cool combinations of colors that you're like, wow, oh man. It's almost like a pearlescent gold. That looks really cool. It's like an orange and gold pearlescent color. That looks amazing. At least I think it does. That looks pretty sweet. So, it's time to go ahead and test this thing out. Go ahead and see how it does. And I'm thinking that we may have to come back and do a little bit of extra work to it, but if we're lucky, we may have dialed in a decent setup right off the bat, even though it was swapped from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, which again, like we discussed before, can have some odd effects on the handling of the car itself. So, let's go ahead and dive right into it and see how it does. Now, I think that the thing with these cars is that they're good at holding angle a lot of the time, but what I find them to be a little bit iffy for is not holding angle, but maintaining a smooth drift. So let's see what this one can do, and we'll do third person view first. Not too bad at all. I mean, it's not the lightest car in the world, but wow, it gets sideways pretty well. And you know what? It doesn't feel like it's trying to... it doesn't feel like it's going back to any of its, like, pre-tuned all-wheel drive kind of dynamics, because even though some cars, you know, you're swapping the drivetrain, some cars in Forza will kind of revert to some of their all-wheel drive-ish tendencies sometimes, like even if you swap the drivetrain, and this one hasn't done any of that so far. It hasn't even come close to that. Excuse me, Ford Fiesta. Yes. And it sounds like a beast, too. It howls. And you know what? I'm really glad I stuck with the smooth power band, because it helps this car. It really does. You're right in the middle of the power band when you're sliding it in second gear most of the time. And if you need to kick it up to third is pretty much perfectly placed for this power level that we're at. So there's really no need to change up the gear ratios at all. And that's a huge bonus in itself, because a lot of the time when you add power to these cars, even especially when you swap the drivetrain, you're looking at a massive project in getting that perfect gearing back. And this thing, it's like, no, the gearing's good to go. I mean, it really is good to go, and you don't have to mess with it, which is not only really rare, but extremely convenient, because you don't have to fiddle with it all the time. You're like, well, maybe I could use a little bit more of second gear here, you know, might need to tone back third a little bit there, but no, not here whatsoever. It's just, I mean, especially at this particular power level. Now, I'm sure that if you maxed this car out, then you might have to mess with the gearing some, but the way it sits right now, you don't have to really do anything with it at all. I mean, it really does respond incredibly well, and the throttle response actually is really good, especially with the centrifugal supercharger. You're never lacking in throttle response, you're never lacking in power delivery, especially mid-drift. And, I mean, you can clutch kick it, you can e-brake it, you can do really whatever kind of initiation you want, and it responds pretty much equally well to whatever type you end up going with. Now, the only thing that I'm having a little bit of trouble with this car is I'm not sure how it's going to do when I throw it into in a really big angle drift. It likes mid-angle. It likes low angle and mid-angle drifts, but I'm not sure about big angle drifts just because of the fact that it's a little bit, I mean, I almost said it because it's a bit of a longer wheelbase, but I mean, longer wheelbase cars actually have an easier time drifting a lot of the time, but some of them can be a little bit iffy in really, really big angle situations. So let's go ahead and risk our drift score and see what we can get out of it. Responded pretty well. Honestly, it responded pretty dang well. Come on. There we go. Maintain the score. Maintain the score. Come on. Not bad. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on. I just feel like sometimes if I wanted to make this car like my ultimate representation of it as a drift car, I would take just a tiny bit more power, just a tiny bit more. Not a ton more, not like maxed out or anything like that, but just a little bit more. And I feel like just a little tiny bit more power and this car would be so on its game. I mean, it already is on its game, but if you really wanted to make this like the ultimate representation of a rear-wheel drive swapped, drift-tuned Audi RS4 Avant, then you would add just maybe 30 more horsepower, 30 or 40. You know, I mean, 50 at max. It's not like you're going to need an extra like 250 horsepower or something. You know, you've got plenty of horsepower to play with as it is. But like I said, just a tiny bit more power and this thing would be perfect. It really would be perfect, at least for my taste. So I'm very pleased with this car. I would absolutely recommend building one. And I'm actually going to keep using this car, just continuing on. And I feel like the more I use it, the more I'm going to find little nuances in the tune that I might change. But not too many. At least right now, I haven't found a ton of things in the tune that I'm like, oh, that could be, you know, way different. And I think I think reducing the negative camber just a little bit in the back and adding a little bit of negative camber in the front made quite a bit of difference as far as getting that extra little bit of front end bite without sacrificing too much with the rear, because you need a little bit of grip to drift properly, and I feel like that's a little bit difficult for some people to understand sometimes, because they're like, well, don't I need a lack of grip? Yes, kind of. You kind of need a lack of grip, but at the same time, you also need to be able to control that grip, because as you take away grip, you need to add extra grip as well to compensate for it. So I feel like sometimes some tunes can be a little bit iffy on that, because people just want to take away as much grip as possible, and that's, no, don't you dare. Wow, I was so close to losing that whole score. Jeez, that was insane. Wow. Come on, come on. Yes, there you go. Keep it going, keep it going. Yes. Now that score is so high, I just want to keep it going until I can bank it over 100,000 pre-multiplier. So if I can bank 100,000 pre-multiplier, then we'll, I think we might stop right there, just so I don't, like, end up trying to go, like, way, way high and make this into some, like, you know, 45-minute long video. But I mean, I'm sure some of you guys like videos like that. I've done a couple of them before, and some of you guys really like them, and I'll continue to do more in the future. But I feel like that might be a little bit long for a drift build. Maybe a live streamed drift build would be all right, but I don't know about a recorded drift build though. I see some cheap additions to my score right there. Come on. I really don't like to take out too much, you know, too many objects in the world while I'm trying to get a score, because no, oh my god, wow, we were almost there too. We're almost there too, and I kind of feel like that wasn't even our fault. He just pulled out. Like, he just like pulled out of that intersection. That wasn't even our fault, but. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this drift build. If you did, don't forget to leave me a like. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later. And if you guys want me to build a specific car, post it in the comment section below, and I'll go through them and I'll see what I can do. And if any of them specifically get like a bunch of upvotes, then I'll definitely highly consider those. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Talk to you guys later.